one of the things that you've been super public about is your choice not to have children. And I am so grateful for you having that conversation because I think that it's so important as women to acknowledge the fact that us choosing to not be a mother, or for the individuals who can't physically do it themselves, we need to share that validation of like, that doesn't make you a better, stronger woman. I think it makes you almost a stronger woman to be able to say like, I'm not going to follow what society tells me to do or try to validate myself as a woman through having children. This is my own personal choice. I think it's so incredibly important that you are speaking to that and that you are allowing other people into that space, because I think that, as soon as you say something, especially out on a podcast or on social media, that it opens up the floodgates to comments and other people's opinions and input. But I truly believe that it is, I always had an appreciation for people who chose not to have children, because I think that your choice is your choice. But I am so grateful that you've opened up that conversation, that you've allowed people into that space. So
thank you.
What has sort of went into that decision for you?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Like you just said, everyone has a choice, or sometimes you don't have a choice, and that becomes your reality. If you can't have kids, my choice to not have children it grew from my struggle in marriages. So what I mean by that is I married the wrong people, plural. I've been divorced twice, and I had some situations that created a lot of mistrust and a lot of heartache and a lot of things that came from those experiences in marriage, that I was like, oh, I don't want to attach myself to something that I can't detach from. And that's a big statement, right? I can get a divorce. I can walk away from those marriages, but I can't walk away from children. And I always wanted to have kids. I mean, I grew up, I was a nanny. I babysat the neighbor kids when I was 11 years old. First of all, they gave an 11-year-old a 9-month-old baby. So you're welcome. And I watched them all the way to the time until I graduated high school. So for 7 years and 3 kids later, I would travel with them. I would go over to their house every day and watch their kids. My mom did daycare growing up because she wanted to stay home with us. So I was always around kids. So I was like, I played baby dolls. I always had this idea that I was going to have kids. I was going to have 3 boys and 1 girl, and she was going to be the last and the youngest. The big brothers would take care of her. Okay, all of that. I also thought I was going to live happily ever after and have a beautiful white wedding and a marriage that lasted 45 years like my parents had been married. None of that happened. So for me, it went back to control, where I can at least control. If I can't control the outcome of these marriages, I can control that I'm not going to bring a child into the world. And I don't want to have to, if God forbid me and the person that had the baby together got separated, that I'd have to share that child. Like there's all of these other things that can happen when you have a child. And for me, it was about the control, which sounds crazy. Like, oh my God. But I think
it sounds rational is what it sounds.
Based off
it does not sound crazy. It sounds rational.
Okay. Well, thank you for making me feel, because sometimes I'm like, am I the same way? I'm never going to get married again. And everyone's like, oh, come on. You can't let those experiences in the past ruin this. I go, yeah, I can, because you guys didn't go through the hell that I went through in those. And I take responsibility too for the outcome, right? This isn't just like, oh, all of these things happened to me. I was a participant in the chaos and the outcome of these things. So let me regain control. And I've done a lot of work on myself to just be a better version of myself, and knowing that like I can be in a relationship and not have to get married, and I can be in a relationship and not have to have children. And the only reason I got married the last time was because that person had never been married and they wanted to get married. I didn't even want to get married again, but I did it for them. And so I'm like, I'm done making decisions because somebody else wants that. So I am very comfortable in the decision not to have children. And I get that maternal instinct now with these animals that I have. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but like,
It
like
doesn't.
my dogs, my horse, like this, half the reason I ended up getting this ranch was that I could pour my like love that I'm not giving to children into these animals and not have to put them in college or deal with bullying or deal with all of these other crazy, like insane things you guys as parents will have to deal with. And I think if we're having a therapy session, which we are, it really comes back to my need for control over something because my life was so out of control in the past and half that wasn't my fault. So, and I will now pay you $500 for the last hour of therapy. Thank you, Kylie.
No, I really, one of the things that I said when we started the show was that I wanted to talk about sportswomen and motherhood. And I think that this is the perfect complement to the other conversations that we've had thus far, just because I do think that this is such an important topic that, like you said, sometimes it is your choice, sometimes it's not your choice. Mm-hmm. And either way, it's okay. It doesn't define you as a woman. And also, it is your life and you're making a rational decision that you've put a lot of time and thought into.
Exactly.